What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes are back with another superstar from the sport of mixed martial arts. Today, we get to talk to Jens Pulver, former UFC lightweight champion, the OG of the lightweights, who last night found out he will be inducted into the UFC's 2023 Hall of Fame class in the Pioneer Wing. Jens, congratulations. Massive news. You are probably still buzzing, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I can't. It only happened. It's happened maybe twice in my life, and when I won the world title was the other time. When I woke up in the middle of the night, I was like, "Is this real?" And of course, I looked over next to me because yes, the belt was sleeping right next to me on the pillow, and I turned over and I looked. I'm like, "Holy cow, I did this!" But I woke up and I was all pissed, like, "This is a dream." No way, I was just dreaming. No way. And the same kind of thing happened this morning. A couple hours, I woke up, I was like, did this happen? And I was like, did this really happen? And it's same thing when I was sitting there. But it's the way that they did it, you know, crafty individuals. I'll dive into it, but I gotta let you all. I want you all to speak first, and then I'll dive back into it. But yeah, no, it's something. It's something.
We were pumped. So from the minute John Anik comes on, we know it's going to be a special moment for someone. And so right away, the clues came in when he said Pioneer Wing. So that throws out a great fight, a contributor, or I guess a more modern fighter because there's 4 wings, right? They said Pioneer. I told Goes, Jens? And then, of course, kudos to, your Vitor Belforts and Dan Hendersons and others that will eventually join you as well. But I was just thinking, who could it be? But I remember the first name that came out, I said, Jens. We were doing a fight watch along like you were. And of course, they get right into it. And then I saw you, a smaller version of you on the screen. And I thought, okay, what's going on? Is he just finding out? But we're trying to speak, listen, and then see, and so then we knew what was happening, and we were taken with emotion. It was emotional for us too because let's tell the truth here. Let's face facts. This is overdue. I'm glad it's here, and I'm not going to dwell on it, but you've been in our studio at Mandalay Bay. We've talked about this, and so I was just happy that it happened. But here's why, Jens, and I don't want this to sound morbid or anything. But man, life doesn't promise us anything. I had to remind myself, you're 48 years old. I always wanted you to enjoy that moment. What you're going to tell us about in a few minutes here when I'm done, and Goes if he chimes in. I want you to give us a play-by-play, but I wanted that to happen. And let's face it, with all the stuff that's kind of been around us lately, life's not guaranteed, and so I'm so happy that it's here and it's done, and in July it'll be official. Goes, how about you? What were you thinking last night?
It kind of hit us right in the chest, right? When it happened, we looked at each other and we were like, is this it? Because we've been through this before, Jens, where we were like, we think this is it. This is the year. It hasn't happened. And so almost sarcastically, we kind of looked at each other like, Jens. And then sure enough, when it hit, man, it's hard to hide emotions, but we feel like we've been a part of this run with you.
Yes,
and
you
so
have.
We went berserk, and we were happy for you, man.
No, I appreciate it. It was, and I said, I don't know how 8K Snoop was able to put me in the dark, and I call him his name is Sean, but I call him 8K Snoop. So he's my right hand. He does, he's been my producer for my stream, and then now we work together at the UFC and do the UFC stream together with some other mods. But he the way that they set me up is I got to explain to this why I was lost. And it's funny because how they used to do that, maybe they said, where are they now?
Yeah.
The UFC does that. Where are they now? Well, they reached out to me and I was like, they have done it. They've reached out in the past a couple of times, and pardon my language, but I'm like, fuck no, I ain't doing that. And why? I go, because I don't like where I'm at right now. And that would be my answer. I go, I don't like where I'm at right now. I go, I don't want to do this. I don't want nothing to do. No, I don't want to do it. I don't like where I'm at. And so this was the most, it's spinning back in my head. It keeps playing back and playing back. That this moment a couple of weeks ago when they called, and I go, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it. Because I'm happy. I go, I thought about it. I'm like, I'm happy. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy with my life. I've the things that were hankering me down. I love my UFC Twitch stream. I love being on Twitch. I love the UFC. I'm back in it. I'm okay with being retired. I'm breaking down fights. I'm having interviews. I mean, I have a blast. 6 p.m. Eastern. What, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday if it's a pay-per-view, Friday, Saturday. I'm interviewing fighters. I mean, I'm having the time of my life on Twitch TV UFC. And I was like. And then, of course, my kids, my son's growing up. He's wrestling now. All of a sudden, I'm diving in as a coach. My wife, she's, working at the hospital. She's doing what she loves. My baby girl is man, they're all growing up. And I was just really happy. And I said, all right, I'll do this. I'm in. And so leading up to last night when we're doing the watch along, it's funny because Sean's going, all right, well, you need to change your hat because I had my big game wrestling hat on, my son's wrestling team, and you got to put on something UFC. The sponsors are saying they want you to have something UFC on. All right, so I go diving in because we're doing the watch along. I had TSM Viss, and Mike Davis were my guests. I'm like, all right, so I throw on the UFC hat. All right, well, you got to turn your phone off. They can tell you're looking down at your phone, but I'm like, yeah, but that's how we've got the at UFC streams on Twitter. Yeah. So I'm always trying to, I'm trying to restream, and I've got Jens Pulver on Instagram. And so I'm trying to, social media, I'm trying to work. And he's like, you got to turn the phone off. All right. And then this crafty little bugger makes it where I can't see the chat. The chat is moving by so fast, I can barely read it. And because I'm really big at talking to chat the whole time, it's what I love to do. And so anyways, so I'm just kind of sitting there and I'm like, all right. And he goes, all right. So when the main card starts, after the first fight, they want you to blow up big screen and they want you to do a reaction, just how you're liking the fights, because you're doing the watch along. It's, for the Where Are They Now? And I was like, all right, that makes sense. Where are they now? I'm streaming. I'm doing the UFC Twitch stream. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I popped on and here I am. I'm just standing by myself. And now it's funny because my wife goes, oh, by the way, she went to the hospital. She works the evening. And she's like, your son has a school project. They want him to record you at work. So now I got my son. Oh, they were all in on. Oh, this gets better. Well, Brian Butler he's co-cheesing this whole thing. So they've known, he's known for like him and Sean have known for like 3 weeks. Whenever, I guess I just found out that whole Where Are They Now? That was just the ploy to start this whole thing, to get this thing going. So I never knew that this was going to happen. So that's what I mean by I was like so shocked, because then all of a sudden when John Anik started speaking, I was like, what the? And that's when I got the face. I was like, what the? And then I see my son sitting there, and he was doing his thing. And I'm like, what the? And it's like, and that's like, no way. No way. And I couldn't even say nothing else but no way. You know what I mean? And here I am like, it's like, what? I got my braces. I got my glasses. I was like, come on. And I was like, and then when it happened, it's like,
yeah, I couldn't tell. I thought you had been dipping, or maybe you had some cilantro for lunch.
I know, right?
You got the braces going on. Good for you, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not leaving this earth without straight teeth once. It's not happening.
And shout out to your wife because that must have been tough. She says your son's got a project from school. He's going to be filming you, and you still didn't catch on. Butler, Snafu, whatever his name is. He's in on it, man. This is awesome the way they're executing this.
Yeah, I love it. Snafu, 8K Snoo is what I call him. But yeah, 8K Snoo. Oh, we just call him Snoo for short. But his name is Sean. But yeah, Snoo, Snoo Pie. But now he's my brother. So, but yeah, it was But like I said, one of the coolest things is it's just. I can't, it's like literally just dawned on me. It's just dawning on me. That's why I keep going back to talking about the whole Where Are They Now? Because I was like, in order for me to say yes to that, in order for me to say yes to that, Where Are They Now? It made me go back and think about my life and where I'm at and what I'm doing. And it's like, it's almost like I gave them permission. Yes, you can play this game on me because I'm okay where I'm at. And I just saying yes to that Where Are They Now made everything just kind of fall into pieces. But it goes back to being on the UFC Twitch stream. I mean, like I said, Tuesdays we're watching The Ultimate Fighter. So I got to watch season 5. We're up to season 8. And we literally, 6 p.m. Eastern, we watch and we do a watch along together. We're watching all of the Ultimate Fighters. You know what I mean? Monday, for example, tomorrow, we'll go back and recap the fights we watched last night. We'll have an interview, and then based on that, we'll watch a bunch of fights that, you know, on Fight Pass, and or we'll watch it. We've been kind of getting into watching old, like a UFC Fight Night, a UFC pay-per-view or something like that. But we still do that, and I get to sit there and just kind of, you know, I get to just interview the fighters, talk to chat, and hang out. And we watch fights, you know, on Mondays. And then, like I said, Fridays, which is one of my favorite day, at 6, everything's at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're watching. I started this whole thing. We're watching fights of fighters fighting in Saturday's fights, and that's when we break down. We watch 1 or 2 fights of every fighter on the main card, or kind of picked out throughout the card, and we'll watch them. And people are like, who do you got winning this? Who do you got that? So we get to break things down, pass on knowledge. And so because of the stream, it's really helped me feel relevant. It's made me feel like, there for the longest time, I was like, I don't want nothing to do with MMA, because I was so pissed off I had to be retired. I was so pissed off that, you know what I mean, that I the losing streak. I had so many if onlys, and I never wanted to have those if onlys. But if it wasn't for this Twitch TV/UFC, I wouldn't have. I was able to put all those things behind me, because I got to where, like, I really love my life, like, you know, and it's like I got to where if any one thing in my life would have changed, I wouldn't be like sitting right here right now talking to you two. I don't have any regrets. And I've been living by that motto ever since I started this UFC stream. And it's still playing over my mind. That's the only reason why I said yes to Where Are They Now. I'm not kidding you. I'm telling you to. Middle finger, whenever they would before, I'm like, I'm not where I want to be. Middle finger, you know. So yeah. I'm stuck on this. I'm sorry I know I talk a lot, but I'm stuck on this because I just can't get over that moment. I just can't get over it, just how this all came about. But if it wasn't for the UFC, and if it wasn't for this Twitch stream, I don't think it would have ever been time, you know?
Well, we're only a few months away. This was the announcement that it'll happen. And then in July, you will go in, you'll get your jacket and everything. But I wanted to ask, from the moment Jon Anik started talking, and I'm sure you probably started connecting dots, then you hear your name, till about now, what's it been like? What's the outpouring? I'm sure people have reached out, you know, and said some kind things, and what's that been like? I mean, your phone's probably been blowing up.
I can't keep up. I can't keep up. I've never had it been like this. And you know, so no, and really quick, so people know, there's not something in between my teeth. I have a spacer to pull them teeth apart. So I get paranoid because people are like, dude, you got stuff in your teeth when you're talking on the thing? That's been my number one paranoia, having braces. They're like, nah. So I don't have stuff in my teeth, and I have braces, so it's not saliva. But no, you know, it's I'm trying to answer everybody back, and I feel weird by just giving it a heart, you know, like a like or something. But I'm trying to actually type thank you, and I've been at it. I haven't been asleep. I think I slept for a couple hours. I think I know I slept for a little bit, but it just keeps coming in and coming in and coming in, and I can't. It's going to take a minute to thank everybody, but I 100% will, and I don't want to just do some blind massive post and here you go, thank you all. I'm trying to get back there and thank everyone, because I truly believe that, you know, they're the reason why. Like, just everybody bringing it up, you all, you know, everybody, just the way that you broke it, you brought it up is, you know, I can't yeah, then I don't even know how to be. I can't even begin to be thankful, you know.
Jen, so like, you know, George and I were talking about, we felt like this was long overdue. If you went through that broadcast and another name had been called out, is there a point where you would have felt like we've gone too far, it's just not going to happen? Or did you feel like this day will come no matter what?
Good question.
No, I was already past that. I was already past it. I'm not, and it's not a joke. I was already past the, I knew I wasn't getting in, and it was never, I was done. But that's why, like I said, and that's when that whole Where Are They Now? I'm like, you know, I'll do it. I'll let people know where I'm at. It'll help build the Twitch stream, you know, the UFC Twitch stream. I'll do it. I was already done with this. I'm not kidding you. I'm not saying this when I tell people I'm not getting in. And all I could tell everybody was this. Because some people would make the mistake, go, oh, Hall of Famer. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not in the Hall of Fame. But I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Everybody that even bringing up the idea, thank you so much. Thank you for putting me in that category. But I just don't think it'll be there. But thank you. And I truly believed it. It never, not once did I can't even, you know what I mean? I can't even. The blue eye today is just going nuts. Look at him. He's all sticking out to himself. But I can't even, I'm just excited. I never, ever expected this. I can't even, I got no words.
Jens,
Can I chime in for a second?
Yeah.
I would have been pissed if they said Pioneer Wing, not to disrespect any other pioneers, okay? But had another one gone in, I would have been fucking mad. I would have been
that's why I love you all. Thank you.
Mad. But it didn't happen.
They could have ignored the Pioneer Wing altogether too, which I didn't know that maybe they didn't add a Pioneer this year, Yeah. And if I may, just really quick, this is something I haven't said yet, but I got to let this out really quick. Man, I'm going in at the same time as Jose Aldo. Woo! Thank you, man, Jose Aldo. So yeah, that's pretty cool too.
Two lighter weight class legends there, man.
Yeah. Hey, Jens, you went on a military trip with us. And
yes, sir.
One of the coolest things we've been around a lot of MMA memorabilia, but the belt that you brought was so unique and it was so cool to have it on that trip. And I thought you told us you went down and you gave it to Dana White. I think he put it in his office or something like that. And so my question is, when you look at that belt now, do you almost feel like you're going to be looking at it through different eyes? Like, is it going to be even that much more special when you look at it?
Well, the belt made it and that's what people ask. The belt made it to the Hall of Fame because that was their first ever champion. Tito was already, if I'm correct, the champion. And he defended his belt and then he got the new belt for Fertitas and Dana White when they took over the UFC, right? He was already the champ 100%. I believe I'm their first champion. Me fighting Uno, I'm under the Fertitta, Zuffa, under the Zuffa banner. I'm their first champion.
Because UFC 30 was the first event, and that's when you won it, right?
Yep, and that's when they flew me out because they were in the corner of John Lewis. They flew me out to watch Sato and Uno fight in Japan, and they were out there also for the Pride and stuff like that. With Tito and I was with Tito and so that's if we go back, I believe I'm Zuffa's first world champion. And, with the match that they put together, Joe Silva being the matchmaker, putting the fights together, I'm their first world champion. So the belt, it was funny. The belt made it to the Hall of Fame. And I was like, one day, maybe I'll get to join it. You know what I'm saying? And because people would ask, where's the belt? The belt's in the Hall of Fame. But you're not. I'm like, I don't need to be. The belt's there. So, it is, but now I get to join it. So I get to go back and I get to join the belt. So that's pretty cool.
So tell me about the moment that you shared it with your son. After he's done filming, you bring him in. He wasn't with us when you fought back then and had all these great triumphs. I'm sure he's seen the videes, watched the fights. Have you watched them together? I'm sure he's had an idea, but now he gets to see this. I mean, he's the man on Monday when he goes to school. His dad's going into the Hall of Fame. But tell me about that moment with him, and then obviously the rest of your family. Your wife comes home, everyone else, friends. What was all that been like?
Yeah, well, I tell you, with Carson, it's I had what happened with Carson as he got older. One time he didn't start. I kept him away from this fighting and wrestling and stuff like that. I never forced it on him. I love that he plays video games. I love that he loves math. I love that he's smart. He's a genius. And I love that about him. And junior high started. He's like, yeah, I'm going to wrestle. What? I'm going to wrestle. Are you sure? Yeah. All right. Well, and then I was like, okay, well, shoot. All right. I guess okay, and I wanted to go watch practice. Nope, COVID. Wasn't allowed to go anywhere near the junior high practice. Couldn't do anything like that. And so I'll never forget this. I was watching him wrestle. And then at one tournament he went to, and he had to go against all these club kids and stuff. And the club kids, they wrestle all year round. They've been around a minute. And every one of them, he got pinned by all of them. And he had a tear in his eye. And I just was like, this is why in my mind, I'm thinking this is why I didn't want you to do this. Because gosh dang, it's so humbling, but there's so many rewards, but it's just you out there. You know what I mean? That's what I love about fighting. I love wrestling. I love that one-on-one competition because it's just you trying to be on a team. You're not on a team trying to be an individual and stand out and do this. You're trying to go out there and represent your team, and you're going out there and put everything, and everything's on you. And you feel like it's just you out there and it's just your emotions. There's no hiding. And I remember I looked at him. I said, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, I go, if it's okay, I'd like to start helping you out. I'd like to start coaching you. Because I was always worried about, being a little intense. That's daddy being an asshole. See, if it's coach, that's awesome. Coach can be intense because that's coach. He's just motivated, fired up. But see, if I do it, that's daddy being an asshole. And I grew up abused, and I could never do that. That's why I never coached him. And I would let someone else coach. And the coaches are looking at me like, all right, I'm like, no, can't do. So I sat down. I said, here's the deal. I go, if you let me coach you, if you let me be a part of this with you, I promise you, in 1 year to this day, this will all just be a memory. And we went home, and I said, check this out. And that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about James Pryor, and I'm going to talk about James Pryor. And I'll start crying, so I can't do it yet. And I know he's going to call at some point. Hopefully, I can get a hold of him today. Anyway. We started watching the wrestling matches. He's like, did you wrestle? I'm like, oh yes, I did. You know what I mean? He's like, did you wrestle? I go, oh, daddy wrestled. And he's like, what about, he's like, and then fighting and stuff. He's like, oh yeah, daddy can beat people up. Yeah, daddy can wrestle. And so I started showing him wrestling matches, my wrestling matches. And I lost it. I was in tears, crying. And I was like, I can't believe I'm sitting here doing this. I go, I'm sitting here watching me wrestle with my son. I never, ever, ever thought that this would happen. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was a kid, man, I was beaten. There was 2 beatings I remember. One of them, I got spanked so bad and by a horsewhip, and it was horrible. And I remember thinking to myself, one day, I would cry myself to sleep, literally thinking this stuff, is one day, man, when I have a son, I'll take him fishing. I'll take him. I'm gonna take him everywhere with me. He'll never go through this. He'll never feel this pain. He'll never understand what it's like to see his mom punched into a heap of tears. He'll never understand what it's like to wake up scared to death when he hears footprints. He'll never know what it's like when someone raises their voice, when their dad raises their voice, like, oh, we got to take off. We got to go. We got to get out of here. He'll never feel that ever in his life. And of course, I love my daughters, but this my son, and so it just, I'm bringing it in. So, but I always made a promise one day. I carried him around with me. I still remember I carried him everywhere with me when he was first born. We brought him all over the place. I still remember we were at some UFC event. Don't worry, Jens, we got him. And they would hold him up, and he was out in the back, out in the crowd somewhere, and people would pass him around. I just loved I love the community. I trusted the community. And like, oh, he's back here. Don't worry. My son would just weave through everybody who had no fear. And this was, this is going to hit hard. I'm trying to get to the punchline, so to speak. But this was, and it got captured again on the stream last night when I brought him back, and I know Butler posted it. God, I love Brian Butler, man. I love Butler. He caught that moment where I said, hopefully you'll never be embarrassed and disappointed and pissed off at me the way that I was. And it's like I finally said, man, hopefully you'll be proud of your dad. And you know what I mean? And that was, so I was pretty happy to be able to do that, and hopefully my little girl, who means the world to me, she's she's everything to me. My little baby Hayden, she's everything, and hopefully my babies will, they'll be proud. They can be proud of me, and so like I said, that was just putting the padlock on the door and closing a chapter. So yeah, it was big. It was big, and to have him here to film it. Ah, man. Yeah, no, I just busted down. He needs a haircut, but no, I busted it, man. It was a lot. It was something.
It was awesome. I'm sure they're all proud of you. All your former teammates are proud of you, going all the way back to Militich days and every gym that you've ever been a proud of, all the people you've mentored or touched in any way, your fans, your coaches, your manager, Brian Butler. Let's talk about him a little bit. This meant a lot to him too. I've talked to him, and I got water in my eyes right now. And Brian says he was a mess yesterday too. But you mentioned I love Brian Butler. This meant a lot to him too. Can you talk about your relationship and everything he did as well to keep these wheels going and bat on your behalf? Not that you needed it, Jens, because you're a former champ with title defenses, and you did it as a guy that really, we all know this was a bantamweight fighting only because that was the only available weight class. Respect, man. Yeah. And those skins on the wall that you have, including, of course, the great BJ Penn, Cub Swanson, Hallman, big dudes. Like it was incredible what you did back in the day. But talk about Brian Butler, mutual friend of ours.
There was a time when I was an ass. I was an asshole. And I was just caught up in the game. I was caught up with, I wanted him to be a part of my quote unquote team, and I just, oh man, no. And I kind of pushed him to the side, but I wanted Brian around. I wanted Brian. I knew how good he was. I knew what he could do. And I'm like, you got to get into this sport. You belong in this sport. And, my wires got crossed for a little bit, and I kind of alienated him. And I made him feel like he didn't belong. I made him feel like he was, like he was JV or something, and I carried that with me for a long time. I just, if I put it, man, I wish I could go back and fight and he could be my manager. I wish I could fight one time and have where he was my manager and we could, have all that. But I already had a manager and I had a team and I loved that team and I loved that manager. That's how I got started. But Brian was somebody, when I met him, I was like, you have to be in this sport. You have to be in this. I was like, your mindset, the way you look at it, I was like, you're good at this. You know what I mean? The way he had me decked out coming out for that Cub Swanson fight, like we had Call of Duty as a sponsor. I mean, who get that? We had things no one ever, they're like, wait, you got what? I mean, Brian was just that good. He was amazing. And, it's one of those things where you don't realize, this is going to sound so cliche and almost corny. You don't realize, and Joe, I can hear my wife laughing right now because this is happening. It's don't say it. I can hear in the background already. I'm not doing it, but no, you just don't realize. I was gonna say you don't realize how good something is until it's gone. But that's for him because I know that just cheesed him up. But no, the reality was, I realized, along the way, it's like, man, I apologize for some of the things I've done. I've apologized for my attitude sometimes, not treating you like you're my friend and treating you like you were just an agent, like you were just an agent, but you're past that. I mean, you were past, you're so much more than that. You're a brother to me, but I was like, all right, you're an agent. This is what you do. I lose managers. I lose agents. I get hurt by these people. The sport, especially back in the day, man, this sport was ruthless. You could fight and find out that that your check just got bounced. Not at the UFC, but in the smaller world, you could find out, like you would fight next, your check bounced. Like, what? You just fought for free. Wait, huh? But at one point I literally was fighting for free. So, my point is to get back without getting too sidetracked. It's just Butler never let the idea go. Yeah. He never let the idea go about Hall of Fame. And I was like, Stop it, Butler. Every year, when they would do a Pioneer or something, and then he's like, I'm not retweeting this. I'm not retweeting this. Stop it. And it's like, where's Jens Pulver? I'm like, but it's kind of like that. If you're not a badass, if you have to sit out there and tell everybody how bad you are, if you're truly a badass, everybody else will tell them how bad you are. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. I can't retweet it. I appreciate you. Stop it, Butler. But he kept saying, no, man, it's only right. It's right in the world. And, I can't, I watched my friend turn Sucker Punch into the biggest, I think it's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the game with handling fight management team and stuff. And, I'm just so glad that we made it through those times. And I love that man to death. I mean, I love Brian Butler. I can't, this whole game wouldn't even be worth it without him. It wouldn't even be, and I watch him. I watch all his fighters and I watch how everybody deals with him. And, it's like he and I had this conversation back in the day. It's like, man, people who meet me, they just kind of ping and they shoot to the top. My man, he rocketed straight to the top. And I'm just so proud and happy. And, I know that this is something that he wanted too. And so I'm so happy that we get to do this together, me and him. I love him to death. I can't thank him enough. And he's an amazing person. And yeah, man, I love Butler. I love him. I was yelling for him at the fight. I can't help it. I just, Butler! That's just my thing.
Great manager, and I can't even keep track of all his success. The other day I saw him in LA. He had just come off Jamal Hill, so I'm congratulating him on Jamal Hill. Hey, another champ, man. Congrats. Yeah, cool. And then I go, what are you doing here, by the way? And Johnny Eblin walks by. I'm like, oh, you're with him too? Fuck, so the list does go on and on with him and all the success. Do you know who's going to induct you yet?
I didn't know
like
that's
the speech. Present you, I should say. The presenter. Somebody kind of speaks on your behalf, and then they,
Oh, I have no idea. I don't even know how this goes.
You get to choose it. I believe you're the one that gets to choose.
You choose who gets to present you, and so somebody comes out and says a bunch of nice things about you, and presents you, and then you come in and then you speak. But
really?
A presenter, yeah.
I didn't know that. Joy, I get to choose my presenter. Do you want to do it? She said no with the middle finger. My wife hates puppets. She won't do anything. I knew that. I knew that. She said, boom, no with the middle finger. She wouldn't do it. No, I mean, I couldn't imagine it not being Butler. If we have, I'll say it right now. If that's the choice, it's Butler. That's Butler. You know what I mean? Because I know where Snoop Pie is going to be. He'll be on the camera running that UFC Twitch stream, which will be live the entire time. Because there's no way we were here at the last International Fight Week, and I know damn good and well we're going to be here for this one. So, we'll make sure that I know where Snoop's going to be. It has to be Butler. I wouldn't want anybody else. No, it's got to be Butler. Unless my mom decided she trumps everything. But I think my mom's good.
Nice. All right. Well, cool. Well, listen, I'm sure you're getting a lot of requests, and I'm sure the texts are pouring in. You got to get back to all that. And some sleep would probably be nice as well.
Tomorrow, I'll get sleep before the stream.
But you just must be on cloud nine. We can see it in your face. It's well-deserved, all that blood, sweat, and tears. The Pulver name's immortalized. I'm sure your son is super proud. Your family, everybody, including Goes and I. And thanks for spending some time with us here on Junkie Radio. Go ahead.
Thank you. No, the one thing I don't want her to get lost in the sauce. My daughter Madeline and my baby girl Hayden. Hayden, I love her to death. She's kind of kept it quiet. Here's the one thing, man. See, I can go off on a tangent. I don't realize how old my kids are. Like they're just they're my babies. They're babies to me, and they have full-on conversations. And they're tweeting and texting and doing this stuff. And I'm like, wait, what? This much is going on. So, but my little girl, yeah, she's a big shout out to Hayden too. I love her to death. And, like I said, we'll be back. I'm excited tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, Twitch TV/UFC. We're going to have an interview. We're going to be breaking down the fights. We're recapping everything that happened on Saturday. And we're going to be talking about this induction. So,
hey, give us a quick preview. Who did you score it for? Volkanovski or Makhachev? Let me tell you what I did. Yesterday, I thought Makhachev won 3 rounds to 2. And then on Twitter, it was, people were blowing it up, and even Volkanovski says he thinks he won. I rewatched it, and I could see the case for Volkanovski. I think round 2 is the one that kind of can sway the judges in Volkanovski's favor. The decision's been made. Obviously, I'll love to see a rematch at some point. I think both champs need to address their divisions. I thought it was one of the best matches I've ever seen. But you being a lighter weight class legend and future Hall of Famer, what did you think?
Same thing. I wish there was another round. And in my opinion, it didn't. Here's what I said. And bottom line, if I can interview Volkanovski, it was, I was like, because it doesn't matter winning or losing. I want him because he won. He won. He won. I don't care what anybody says. He won. Whether or not he didn't get that decision, he won. The smaller guy, the fitter, to get back to his feet, he broke Makhachev. You give one more round, regardless, you won't need a judge's decision. He had it. He broke it. Nobody's been able to get back to their feet. And not only did he get back to his feet, my man started trying to take him down. My man did everything under the sun. He won, period. I don't care what the judges do. Makhachev can keep the belt. That's fine. But in my eyes, that was an absolute win for Volkanovski in every facet, period. For being the smaller fighter to showing that man is un-effing real. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And that's another. I can't wait tomorrow. We're on the stream. Oh, we're going to have the highlights and clips. I'm going ham because whether or not, again, we don't want to leave it to the eyes of the judges. I get where the judging can happen, even though he was the more active. But even when Makhachev had his back, my man's beating him. He took a beating. Sometimes you got to realize and recognize, I know a lot of people aren't fans of this, but when the first fight started, we had a 29-28, and then some judge whips out a 30-27. What? I want live scoring for accountability. I want people you need to know that you're about to get that the hosing's about to happen. I think that's the only reason why I want live scoring is for the accountability. These judges shouldn't just be sitting back getting away with this. After the first round, start throwing things at them. What? Stick them in a room, give them let them have some monitors, let the judges have some monitors, let them have some headsets, no voices. No noise, and let him judge correctly. But Volkanovski handed him a beating, even though, yes, he had his back and he had it figured forward. Volkanovski beat him up. And Makhachev was able to, but it got to the point where we've seen things happen in Makhachev. He normally, his squeeze is second to none.
Yeah.
And Volkanovski was fit enough to get past the squeeze, get back to his feet, and push this thing to a level that Makhachev wasn't even ready for. So whether or not the judges gave it to him, Volkanovski won. There was no winning in that. No losing in that fight, and he won. And not, like I said, I'm not saying just I'm going past the judges. He won in every facet, being the smaller fighter. Dang, man, whoo! And now he gets to go back there. We can talk about Yair, but I'll talk about that tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, as well on Twitch TV, because Yair, what a sharpshooting sunbuck that was. Anyway, I'll be quiet. That's my take.
Bro. Good stuff, man. Thanks for the time today. We'll see you in a few months in Las Vegas.
All right. Appreciate you.
See you, brother.